later this week, and we want to jump on here. There's the newscast going on. This is a great opportunity. You can multitask.
Yep.
Phone in one hand watching us, TV Mark in the background, and that way we have you covered in terms of weather, no matter what platform device you are on. So YouTubers, Facebook, let's get this video shared out, spread it to as many people as possible, discussing the potential for some strong storms on Thursday. Now, Bryce, it's been a while since we've had to talk about strong storms. We've been in the freezer here.
Yeah.
And as soon as we warm up, guess what?
Yeah, here we go. You know, I saw a post from a few of these quote weather pages, if you want to call it that, on Twitter, X, whatever, and it was like, you know, rare severe event for the Ohio Valley, rare storm threat, blah 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 blah.
It's the worst we've ever seen.
Look, I did some research. I didn't think I told you this while before Mark came in during my lunch. I was curious, and I looked it up, and it was like, I think every year since 2021, we've had at least a slight risk in the state of Kentucky in February. Every single year since 21, and we've had over 40 tornadoes in February in Kentucky. Wow. Since 2010.
Interesting. You did some real digging.
I know, right? Some investigative journalism
I know.
there.
There's some good, interesting numbers, though. So what you're saying is it's not uncommon. Or,
no. I mean, it's not rare. You could say, I guess you could say uncommon. You know, this isn't the month that you immediately think of tornadoes happening. Right. But, I mean, we had some, the thing of the Western Kentucky ones from a few years ago that were really bad. They were in December.
We feel like we're not immune no matter what time of the year.
No, not around here.
No. So, with that said, we do have a slight risk in our area, so let's talk about exactly where. Now, you notice since yesterday, Bryce, it has moved just a little bit.
Yeah, this got moved north. I can't remember how far south it was yesterday. I wasn't here yesterday.
It covered the whole area.
It was.
Yeah.
And when I came in, I noticed that, it got shifted north a little bit. So now, like, right at the northern half of, like, Taylor Hart counties, just north of, like, the Campbellsville area, that's kind of the bottom edge of it. And now it's been extended all the way up through Indy, all the way up through Springfield, Illinois, Effingham. I mean, it's going way up toward the Great Lakes now, but we are still included in it, a good chunk of our area for this. We're going to talk about the reason why this has been shifted north, because I think all of us would agree this is probably the right move. But we should still at least be in the slight, which we are. They've done a good job at placing this one so far.
Yeah, I really want to emphasize that this really comes down to where a warm front sets up shop in our area, because along that warm front, it enhances rotation, which can allow thunderstorms to mature, develop, and maintain themselves a lot longer than without that boundary nearby. So they're trying to determine, the Storm Prediction Center, where that front lies. Now, the storm itself is still moving off the coast, so it really hasn't gotten into land just yet. And once it does, we send balloon up, and those balloons will sample the storm itself, and we'll get a better idea as to exactly how this will unfold. But for now, there's still some questions. There are still some variables. And Bryce, it's something that, you know, we wish we could say these locations 3 days out, we'll have to deal with this many severe thunderstorm warnings. But this is just giving you an area, an idea of where the possibility for some severe weather is possible. And we're not here to scare you either. I mean, this is not a high-end threat or anything, but since it's been so long,
right, exactly,
I think it's smart to be wise, be prepared, and be kind of aware when it comes to Thursday.
It can kind of catch you off guard. You're like, oh, it's February. We don't get severe weather in February. And normally we don't, but there is a case once or twice a year during February where, you know, this can happen, especially toward the end of it when you're getting close to March, you're getting closer to spring, and you're going to start to warm things up. As Rick mentioned, this thing is still off the West Coast, so this is the kind of big low that's going to cause all this as it's getting closer to our area. And as Rick also mentioned, once it moves in, we'll be able to actually get better samples from it, which is why our confidence grows about 48 hours out. So, I mean, even by tomorrow morning when Jude's on, we're going to be getting actual samples of this thing as it starts rolling into the U.S., because right now it's still almost about 1,700 miles away. So, I mean, you're talking about a 150-mile wide radius that you're trying to narrow down this thing moving over when it's over 1,700 miles
when you're
away.
looking at this may only drape a couple of counties in our area. So that's why we're going to focus more in on our areas right along and north of I-64. But it all comes down to where that front sets up. Mark just poked his head in, by the way.
Oh, he left.
He's causing trouble.
He said he wasn't going to come in here,
and then sure enough, he shows up. So
he can't help himself.
He really couldn't. So Bryce, I'm curious. Any snow left at your house? Do you have anything?
No,
Not even.
I'm
Not
done.
even a little.
It's gone.
Really?
Both sides of the house, even where I don't get any sun on it, it's gone. Finally.
Really? Okay, impressive. I got a couple little areas, just
Yeah.
that just won't go away.
Yeah.
But here's my point. We're coming off a very winter-like
Yeah.
pattern. The pattern has changed. This is not the same pattern that we are in.
Nope.
It's far more active. The jet has retreated north, the cold air, and so this storm doesn't have any cold air to play with.
Right.
In fact, it's going to pull some moisture in. But the moisture values that we're looking at, they're not like the best that we've seen.
No.
They're on the lower end.
Yeah, I mean, you're pulling dew points that are in the low 60s,
Like upper 50s. Yeah,
upper 50s.
It's right on the cusp of what we would need.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with storms this time of the year is that we have wind energy, and we know that that's something that's usually sufficient and ample. So really, as we go through this, you'll see 40 miles per hour is our threshold.
Yep.
And Bryce, why don't you kind of take them through this wind field?
So this isn't at the ground. This is about a mile above the ground, which helps separate your updrafts and your downdrafts in your system. If you don't have a separation between your updraft and your downdraft in a storm, then it basically just chokes itself off and it dies. Again, this is miles per hour, about a mile above the ground, give or take. We're looking for 40 or more to reach that threshold of organized severe storms. Here's 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. This is as this warm front that we talked about is moving across our area. And often with these little warm fronts, you have to watch them close because there can be a lot of turning with the winds as that warm front makes its way to the north. And there is some turning with the winds as this front does move through. But you see the wind energy slacking a little bit here. It's coming up, but it's not quite there. And you'll see here in a minute when we start talking about instability values, they're also falling short. But watch what happens the further we go into the afternoon and into the evening. And here it comes. You get well above that 40-mile-an-hour threshold.
Mm-hmm.
This is as that cold front's starting to roll through the area. This is when it's kind of at its peak.
That's right. Yeah, that definitely meets criteria. 40 is the minimum.
Yep.
You see 55, 60.
Yeah.
Those winds are definitely picking up. And again, this is a mile above the ground. This is not going to be at the surface. But those are some powerful winds, enough to support strong, maybe a handful or a few severe thunderstorm warnings. That's if we can get it with storm energy and fuel, because this is a recipe that has a list of ingredients. It's not just one thing.
Exactly. It's just one part of the whole severe weather equation.
Right. But we can basically check that box, Bryce, right?
Yeah. So it's wind energy, we're good to go. You see it blows its way on through. And then by Friday, it doesn't matter because the storm's gone. But we also have to have instability. You get instability by having warmth and high dew points. Dew points are okay. They're not like spring dew points. We're in the low to mid 70s or anything. But we'll just say it's enough. But you also have to have enough warmth in there. So when we flip over and we look at the instability values here, the numbers that you're looking at for winter time are sufficient enough. But I will say this is kind of the one model that's a little overboard with it. I'll say there's some that have a lot less than this. Mm-hmm. And this is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is as that warm front is rolling on through. And this is elevated Cape 2, by the way. This isn't surface.
This is
there's not a lot of surface instability available when that warm front's rolling through in the afternoon.
And we need that to be surface based in order to really allow
to bring some of that rotation
to
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and usually when we have elevated Cape, we get some hailers. So we can't rely on some small hail, but even the updrafts wouldn't be strong enough to keep those hailstones suspended long enough to grow big enough.
Right, exactly.
So really, it's a two-pronged threat. There's the warm front during the day, and then the cold front at night. Of the two, neither one seems to really have the perfect setup where all the ingredients are layered right. Hey, Mark's on right now, by the way.
Mark is on right now.
He's going through. So, obviously on WDRB News throughout the week, we'll have updates on where the severe threat lies because we'll be able to pinpoint where that warm front ends up.
Yep.
But a couple hundred units of Cape, that could lead to some strong storms. There's no doubt about that. So Thursday's the one to highlight for that possibility, Bryce. And this is starting off the season.
Yeah.
It's the first one of 2026.
I know. Yeah, that's why it kind of catches a lot of people off guard. It's like, whoa, we haven't heard about severe storms in a long time. You hear a rumble of thunder and you're like,
right. Yeah. I mean, we had thunder snow. The last time we had thunder was when there was actually snow coming down, which was
crazy.
That was a crazy day. So yeah, we've we've come into a different pattern that definitely supports the
Yeah.
possibility for severe. Now, we get close to 70 in February, so you should know it's not 80 something. If we had temperatures in the 80s
It'd be a different
and
story.
dew points, that we would be far more
Yeah.
concerned. But what little, it's kind of a weak instability, and then moderate shear kind of scenario.
Exactly. It's like there's some instability there, but there's not a ton. It's not like we're seeing these numbers and our bunch of alarm bells are going off in the weather center. It's not that kind of. There's enough to support some severe, but it's also, you have to focus on the jet stream when we come to these scenarios as well. So you have a bunch of different kind of aspects when you have a jet streak roll across our area, which we do, that help. Those are, I mean, that's way, way up in the atmosphere. So again, don't freak out. Okay, these are not at the surface. This is way, way up there, about the 250 millibar level of the atmosphere. And Mark and Rick kind of alluded to this yesterday during the stream. This little jet streak that's rolling its way on through here, you can see the pinks and the purples there. Those are the higher speeds aloft. We are on the wrong side of the jet. And what we mean by that is we are on the right exit region here. This is called the right exit region. And on the northern side of it, this is the left exit. So when you're on the left exit side of a jet stream, you have more divergence aloft, which means you can have more air rising rapidly. You have to have rising air rapidly to get storms. On the right exit region, where we are, you have more convergence with sinking air. So with little cape that we have, Rick, that kind of alludes back to the point where we have a little bit of cape, which means we have some rising air. But when you talk about the jet stream forcing it down, it's like a battle between the two. Where you've got sinking air trying to, it's kind of overpowering what little bit of cape that we got. And that kind of limits storm activity, which is why when you see advanced track here in a minute, you're probably not going to be that impressed by it.
And that can kind of cancel each other out in a sense. And that's, again, one of the complexes with, you know, meteorology is finding out which one can overcome the other. And if that's not a possibility, then what are we looking at? So that's the jet stream, Bryce. And I think what is advanced track, the next one that we go through. So like Bryce alluded to, we want to show you advanced track because we don't want you to think, all right, well, is there going to be severe? Is there not? There may be people who don't even see storms in this situation. Just to be
this isn't an incredibly widespread kind of thing. And as Rick mentioned, since we're on that right exit of that jet stream and we have some sinking air in our area, it's gonna limit some of it.
Right.
And it won't allow it all just to break off and go crazy.
So here we are. Let's start this off at 5 o'clock.
Yep.
And Bryce, you roll this forward and you see the warm front, and that's trying to generate storms, which it is. But you see them off in central Indiana, right?
They're further to the north where that left exit of the jet stream is, where you've got more of that divergence aloft. You've got more rising air. And for our area,
right?
Yeah, right? I know. You see it play out and you're like,
makes life a little bit easier.
It's like when you're in elementary school or middle school and you like figure out a math equation. You're like, oh,
the light bulb goes off.
It's kind of fun. Okay. And then, so that's why you see a lot of these storms starting to form along that warm front north of our areas, because there's better divergence aloft. There's more rapidly rising air where we're fighting against sinking air. It's not happening there. But I mean, as this thing lifts north, Rick, it gets pretty warm.
It does.
It does get pretty warm here.
Breezy as well.
Breezy.
Those little white arrows are the winds.
Moving.
They're cooking along. So there's this is going to be a 1-2 punch.
Yep.
Warm front, cold front combo. And you saw those storms. There were many areas that missed out from that warm front during the day.
A bunch.
And then we wait for the cold front that will be here during the overnight hours. Now, if you're thinking, all right, well, I'm going to lose some sleep on Thursday, let's walk through this and try to help put you at ease a little bit. Because we are here to inform, whether it's going to be, you know, something that you should raise an eyebrow and be concerned about and, you know, connect with your family, or is this something that I can kind of just lay low and let pass on by. And that's our goal, is to be 100% clear, not just say this is the worst thing ever, because like Bryce said, he did the research. This is not something that is rare or unheard of, but we want you to be prepared for damaging winds and the possibility of a tornado and some small hail.
Right.
Nothing more than that. This is not some outrageous outbreak that you should be concerned about and calling your friends. And the cold front, when this comes in, it's at night.
Yeah.
So while the wind energy's there,
you're cooling down.
We're cooling.
And if you're cooling down,
we're stabilizing.
You're losing instability.
And we're so that again, nothing is really in this perfect setup where we're like, oh, this is going to be, you know, something that we got to keep a close eye on. We're gonna be watching, so you don't have to. So that way, you know, if something is concerning, we'll be popping on here.
Yep.
We'll be on the news. You can find us. That's the whole.
We'll break into coverage if we have to.
Yeah, and it's the beauty of having this too, is we basically have opened up a new way to have a conversation with you, reach out, chat, talk, and answer questions that you may have. We've had some people in here. Just to quickly mention, so we're not ignoring you.
Yeah, we see you.
We see you. We appreciate you.
We're gonna get to you.
And we're gonna be chatting soon. So, you know, there's a bunch of questions. Brenda's watching. Thank you. Eva has some questions, and also Tabitha from Hillview is watching. So thank you. Carrie saying spring is in the air.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Mother Nature gives you little hints.
A little taste of it. We call this fool spring because it always gets colder.
Yeah,
this
it'll
weekend,
get colder. It's cold again.
It's cold again.
We'll be back in the 30s.
Yes, just enjoy the 70s while we have them. That's the only advice I have for you.
One thing I'm just noticing looking at this advanced track, look at these. Again, this is north of our area. Look at these little supercells.
Yeah.
See how some of these have this little curl to them? These little hook echoes? These are these rotating storms that your tornado threat would come with. But you see where they are? They're mainly to our north. Now, it can clip some of our Indiana counties, to be clear, but this is further to the north, closer to that left exit of the jet stream where you've got more rising air, where they're not really limited to the sinking air that's over our area. That's why further to the south, it's like, it's a little dud down here.
There's nothing, there's barely anything.
Yeah, there's barely anything going on.
I mean, based on what we've looked at, some of the information, some of the new data that's coming in, that slight risk, I would say probably north of I-64.
Yeah.
They could probably trim it a little more on the southern side.
Sure.
And they may continue to do that same thing where they press it northbound. But right now,
it's kind of just covering more bases at this point.
And I don't want to, you know, southern Indiana, it's still possible. And then that's the warm front. So that very good observation with those little supercells. That's actually cool that the resolution.
I know. I popped out. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then here comes the cold front.
Yep.
At this point in time, we have the wind energy, but we really lack the fuel or instability, which means a line of some gusty downpours.
Yep.
Lightning, probably little if any. But yeah, you're hear the winds howling, and this is coming through around midnight.
Yeah.
Which means you don't have to. Maybe you're
not up at 3, 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
You know, with a small child, you know how.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah,
I'm like, do I take her down? Do I take her? Do I wake her up?
You know exactly how this works.
And another thing that is important to note is along that warm front, you have more turning in the atmosphere, and you have more of that wind shear. Once we get to this cold front, it's pretty unilateral. So winds from the surface all the way up to the cloud base is pretty much the same direction at this point. There's some minor, what am I trying to say? Minor turning here or there.
Yeah.
But at this point, we go from more of an isolated tornado risk to more of a straight line damaging wind risk as the cold front actually rolls through. And you see that there are some storms in there. Some of them are going to pack a little bit of a punch. There could be a few severe thunderstorm warnings along that front, but it just doesn't look that impressive as it rolls through because, as Rick mentioned, we've cooled off by then. We've lost what little cape we already had. We're on the wrong side of the jet. And, I mean, we have some wind energy, but, I mean, if you don't have them at the same time, then what's it going to do for you?
No, and that shows that, 2 o'clock in the morning, it's now clear. Temperatures are in the 50s.
Yep.
The atmosphere has really begun to cool down, stabilize, and you don't have to worry about severe weather for a while because the one thing about cold, while you may not like the cold weather means no severe.
Amen. I told Mark today, I said, I would rather have another 6 inches of snow every 2 weeks all the way to April than if I had the
Listen
choice.
Up, those of you watching, are you with Bryce or with you?
If I had the choice of it to be colder than normal and keep tornadoes out of here through the end of April versus it being more spring-like weather, I would probably pick the cold.
I get
There's
it.
some nice days in there, you know.
You're just trying to have your cake and eat it.
That's very true. That's very true.
Because I'm with you. No, I would not like to have severe. I also like to enjoy some warmer temperatures. But I hate the fact that when we talk about severe weather, people can get hurt and people can get cold weather is a different thing too. But that's our goal is to keep everyone safe.
Right.
So anytime we present, there's a chance of something happening. In terms of severe weather, Bryce is like, I'd rather be cold so we don't have to deal with anyone. Yeah. And I totally get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's on Bryce's snow over tornadoes.
And you mentioned earlier about us getting cold again this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and we always get cold again. This is a little bit of a full spring. If you guys remember when we released our winter outlook, we were talking about a week La Nina. The past week La Nina is like the one we're currently in. Half of them had a spring snow, and by spring I mean from March 1st on. So half of them had some snow in March.
Yeah.
So
if you still want some more snow, and I know there's plenty of them out there, it's not impossible. It's a coin flip.
Yeah.
It's really, you could heads or tails this one, and hopefully you make the right choice. But it's definitely something that shows up in the analog data, which is basically taking all the years that we've had this weak La Nina. We've entered the data into these, and they give us maps, and it basically tells us the probabilities of, is it drier? Mm-hmm. Is it wetter? Is it warmer? Is it colder? And we use these as a great tool. We can even break it down month by month. And that was the cool thing, is that we did see that signal for spring snows with these weak La Ninas. And so far, we're above average.
I mean, we are above normal, so why not keep it going?
Yeah, I mean, we've already hit that mark. So let's see how much more we can do. Is it question time?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's bring them in.
It's time for some questions here.
Rapid fire. Send them out.
There we go. Okay. Give me pool weather, Becky is saying.
I mean, I understand. Pool weather's different, though. Pool weather's different than spring weather.
That's true. That's the summer.
I will take 95 and hot over a 70 or like a 78 and tornado risk. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm with you, because you can't lay in the pool and relax.
You bring down a lot of the wind energy. The jet goes way further to the north, and
that's just the way it works. So why don't you start us with the first question that you see there?
Let's see here. I had somebody ask about is the divergence factors common factors in most severe storms, or just in this particular storm system? Really good question, Holly Ann on Facebook. So it depends on the time of the year. So this time of the year, the jet streak and what exit or entrance region that we're in, I know I'm throwing some kind of crazy science knowledge at you here. The reason that's important this time of the year is because since we don't have a lot of high cape or instability, that instability is basically how much rising air that you have in the atmosphere. Well, if we don't have a lot, and we have a lot of sinking air like we do this time around, then usually that sinking air is going to win over more. Now, during the springtime, if we're at like 85 and we've got like 4,000 cape, then we've got a ton of rising air, and it doesn't really matter what entrance of the jet stream you're in. It's gonna win over every single time. And that can kind of happen when you're talking about eroding a cap down too. If you're in like the left exit region of the jet stream, that can help wear down a cap in the atmosphere. You've heard us talk about that, which I'm sure we'll talk about more in the spring. But this case and scenario, where the jet streak is and how it correlates to where we are is pretty important.
Right, and this is something that we're going to be analyzing every single day. We come in fresh, we check out the new information, and we will be fine-tuning exactly which locations to watch out for the most. Does the threat even still exist, or is it more towards central Indiana? That's a real possibility. We just want to play it safe right now. So for now, I would say if you're along and north of I-64, you still belong under that slight risk for severe weather. If there are adjustments that need to be made, we're going to pass those along for you. But keep the questions coming. That's the whole point. This is your opportunity to ask us a question. It's just after 5 o'clock. I'm sure Bryce is probably going to go home and get dinner. I'm going to be on at 6:30 on WDRB. Jessica saying, just joined. What did she miss? Jessica, severe risk on Thursday. Right now, we are watching areas along and north of I-64. Comes down to where a warm front sets up. There will be some storms scattered. Not everyone gets them, but they could be on the stronger side late Thursday, like around midday, and then evening and early overnight. Yeah, with a warm front, cold front combo. The warm front is the one that has us a little bit more nervous. I say warm fronts are the worst because I always feel like they're
like a little sneaky.
They don't follow all the rules sometimes. Even with a lack of cape, they
can still turn.
They can still turn, and turning storms that enhance severe weather potential. So that's why we're watching that warm front more carefully. Yeah. Not that we're going to ignore the cold front, right? But I would say with the lack of instability and the fact that it's coming through overnight, yes, the wind energy is a little better, but gusty downpours, maybe some strong storms, that would be the threat. So we're watching, like you said, I like the way you put that. Isolated tornado during the day Thursday, to isolated wind damage during the early overnight hours.
Yeah.
And then that system's gone, and we say goodbye to the 70s for a little bit longer, and the cold air does make a comeback.
I'm kind of glad that the tornado threat that we have, even though it is low, I'm kind of glad it's during the daytime. You know, we're not talking about nocturnal tornadoes again, and
those
are the
ones,
worst.
I mean, they're definitely more dangerous. We know that
Absolutely.
for a fact. And just it's overall awareness. You know, it's if you go to bed in February and you're not thinking about tornadoes most of the time,
Right. I mean, it's February.
Yeah, it's you're
waiting for. You're hoping you don't walk outside and your car's frozen or shut
yeah.
down.
That's it's just not the first thing that comes to mind.
Ashley Nicole on Facebook says, "Could all this change? Could all this still change an uptick? It could, but I will say that typically, Ashley, during at this point, we watch for trends, and all the trends and almost all the data is kind of moving a little bit further to the north. But I mean, the Storm Prediction Center still has that severe risk and that slight risk that far south for a reason. It's because there's still a little bit of uncertainty, and as we mentioned earlier, if you weren't joining when we first came in on here, this low isn't even in the U.S. yet. So once it gets into the U.S., data's going to pick up on it really good, and then we'll have an even better idea of where it's going. So never say never with Mother Nature.
That's a good one.
But
you should get that tattooed on yourself.
Never say never with Mother Nature.
I'm just kidding. Never say never with the weather. Maybe the tattoo's a bad idea. Sorry.
Wish we had a basement. You don't have to have a basement. I mean, you're talking the center of the lowest floor in your home or your apartment or wherever. Many walls between you and the outside as you can. No windows. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. But
yeah, and Timothy's saying, "Do I need to sleep in my ground shelter?" No. That was the whole purpose of this video, is to kind of help temper expectations and let you know that it's isolated. It could happen, but it's still a lower end threat. This is a slight risk. Remember,
we will have a lot higher threats this year. I can guarantee it.
We have basically we show starting with a slight, which I consider small.
Yeah.
Then we go enhanced, which I would say
you'll have few scattered tornadoes in there.
Yeah, medium.
Yep.
And then we do the moderate.
Yep.
Which I would say is like your large if you're going to the fat.
We get probably 1 or 2 moderates a year here, I would say.
Which is right, and that this is not that. So so if you're going by the fast food scale from small to extra large, with the high being extra large, we're talking about the smallest meal.
Yeah, we're not talking about a kid's meal, but we're talking about a small.
So I don't know. They kind of look the same. They really do look the same. Just you don't get the toy, which. If you're not getting a toy, what's the purpose?
There you go.
Yeah. So Timothy, do not do that.
No, you don't need to do that.
That's overreaction. And that's the goal of this, is to kind of help you not have to do something that's not required. Time to bust out the windbreaker. This Rick is right. Different Rick from Facebook. Where's our YouTube family on here? I haven't seen too many from YouTube.
There were a couple really early on. Okay. Here's a couple of them. Are we gonna get snow?
You want to take that one?
We're gonna get snow soon, Dana says. Campbellsville, Kentucky. Soon, I would say probably not. We are gonna get a shot of cold air in here this weekend. The GFS was throwing some snow out, not that far south.
The GFSs.
But it's also the GFS.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like your crazy uncle or you're telling you stories and you're like, yeah, sure. That didn't happen. But as I mentioned, like half of the week La Ninas that we've had, like this year, half of them have had some kind of snow in March, or early April. So I mean,
Bryce, help me out with this. What does that even mean?
I don't know. Maybe I should Google it first. I don't know what that means.
I'm not. I don't.
Oh. Okay. This is
I'm not cool. Sorry.
The act of being significantly more phically attractive than someone else.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Now I'm blushing.
Look at you.
Excellent. Thank you. I was not. I don't know what mogging was. I don't want to say it.
I had to look it up before we said it.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything.
Here come the YouTubers.
There they are. Thank you.
We are here.
C3 Holland. Well, how's it going? Who else? We got DMF 6470, Hardsburg, Kentucky. Shout out. Represent. Betty saying you guys are awesome. Thank you. Bryce and I are like brothers. We joke around a lot. We like to have some fun. But when it's serious, we're serious. You'll be able to tell by our demeanor whether or not you should.
We wouldn't be up here laughing if it was a big time risk.
Exactly. So you can just by us being kind of nonchalant and low key about this, that hopefully translates to you, and you kind of feel like, oh, well, if they're not all going crazy, bent out of shape, we shouldn't be either. So that,
Sure,
we're trying to set the tone, but when we do kind of escalate odds more serious, that's when we want you to listen, react, and trust us, because in those moments, you usually don't get a lot of time, and it matters. So thank you for
YouTubers.
Yeah, they're in here. You guys are just being quiet.
I'm curious. The folks that are watching on YouTube, are you watching on your phone or you got it pulled up on your Roku or your Fire Stick? That's what I want to know. Because I pulled up a stream a couple weeks ago when you and Mark were on when I was at home. Just got my daughter down. And I was like, I'll just pull it up on the TV. That way I can still see her and scroll. And
I haven't done that
yet. Kind of do the double thing there. And that's the good thing about this is, we're live. I'm looking at Fallon and Gil right now at the desk. You can watch our news and watch us at the same time.
Yep.
And you can ask us questions. Unlike on TV, it's a little easier to communicate with you. So
yeah, it's a one-way conversation. There's usually no one. The producer's talking our ear, but that's the only.
It's like calling my conscience.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Bedford, Indiana. Ashley Howell on Facebook's asking. So Bedford, you're kind of in an interesting spot. So you're in the far northern extent of our area. So I would say your risk level, it's the same risk level from the Storm Prediction Center, but if you're talking about your risk level compared to Louisville's, I think yours is a little bit more up there, just because you're a little bit closer to where those storms start to fire in the data, especially along that warm front as it passes into late afternoon tomorrow. If
there wasn't that warm front, I really don't think we'd have a severe risk. It's just that one boundary, that feature that can enhance rotation, and that's why you don't turn your back on the ocean. And you don't ignore warm fronts. It's 2 rules of life. Thanks for the info. Third shift from UPS ramp worker.
Hey.
Tony Skywalker.
Tony, I worked at UPS when I was in college. I came home and I was seasonal there. I worked.
Did you?
Uh-huh. I loaded. I think that was what it was called. Yeah, I did loading for a little bit my first time at Worldport. And then my second time at Worldport, I was in small sort. And I worked third shift for both of them. So
okay.
More power to you.
I did not know this.
More power to you.
We got another ups man on the table here.
Ups. Got you on the Roku and the PC.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, keeping it going. So we'll take one more question, and then we will let Bryce go have some dinner with his wife and his child. And I
don't even think we've even decided what we're having.
No? I thought that's what the text messages was going on.
I've
You're supposed to pick something up, Bryce.
I've got like 5 notifications right now.
You're supposed to pick. What are you going to pick up?
I don't know. She mentioned Papa Murphy's, but
you love your Papa Murphy's.
I haven't had it in a long time. Before I had a kid, we used to get that like every Tuesday.
I know, because you would be like, I got to leave and get Papa Murphy's. Yep. Yeah. It's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Your Italian heart's like, freaking Papa Murphy's.
No, listen, I haven't. Have I had it? No. Can I judge it? No. No comment.
You know what I had for lunch today?
Don't.
You're going to hate me.
What?
I had David T. Morse because it was leftover, but it was pretty good. It was leftover OG.
All right. Bryce and I aren't talking anymore. So Ryan said he worked at UPS for 17 and a half years and now works at Ford.
There you go.
Yeah, they're both great companies. Okay, so wishing you guys a blessed day. Thank you, Creativity Nuggets. We appreciate your positivity. That's the thing in here. We feel like we've cultivated a group that is interested, is here for information, realizes that we're not trying to hype anything.
No, it's the same thing. Like if you find us, like if you see us out in public and you ask us what it's going to be like this weekend, this is exactly what this is. I'm not going to sit up here and overhype something that shouldn't be overhyped.
Well, it just feels like I feel like I'm an old soul. Social media just drains me. You go on there and I just feel like it's the end of the world everywhere you look, and for me, it gives me a little more empowerment just to go and try to do this stuff, so that way people have a good source of information.
Right.
There's the number of bad sources of information far outweigh the good.
It's ridiculous.
Right. And I feel like so it's for us, we have a purpose here is to be a voice of reason when there's so many unreasonable people out there on all the social media platforms.
And that's the thing, like we live here, these whatever you want to call them, weather page YouTubers, whatever, that aren't real meteorologists. They're forecasting the whole country. They're not out in a specific location that they specifically forecast for. If me and Rick came up here right now and said that we're going to have 40 tornadoes on Thursday, which we're not, we don't get a 1, and if we go out in public on Thursday, we have to be out with you guys. You know, I mean, we live here too, so it's like, I've lived and grew up here. You've lived here for a long time too, so I mean, this is our community too. So I'm not going to sit here and
you can't stay in your bedroom and hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm with you. Sharon saying, this is the last question. How severe are the storms going to be? Sharon, we're not even saying we're guaranteeing severe weather. We could see stronger storms. I think that's a pretty good possibility, especially given some of the parameters. But I would say that severe weather would be isolated. And if it was going to be during the day on Thursday, it would be maybe tornado or damaging wind. And then that shifts over to more of a damaging wind threat with the cold front that comes through overnight, sometime around midnight, give or take an hour. Christopher Schiller's in here. Thank you for joining us, the Don Shills. What about Hardin County? So that would be the last question, Bryce. I'll let you close it out here.
So Hardin County is kind of on that cusp right now of that severe risk, and even the new one that just came out this afternoon. I mean, Hardin, it comes to the very bottom of Hardin County. So if you were to ask me, probably Rick too, or any of us, by the time the next update comes out, which I'm not sure if it's tonight or early tomorrow morning, I would be shocked if it's not a little bit further north than what it is, which would take you out of the slight. It doesn't mean you can't see a strong storm, maybe even a rogue severe, but in terms of organized severe weather, I think, as you mentioned earlier, north of 64 probably has the better chance for that one. So
yeah, so that's basically what we have for you today. Changes tomorrow. We could chat once again. Are you working tomorrow?
Nope.
No, he's off. Okay.
I'm off till Monday.
You're off till Monday. Ooh, he's got a nice little break. So, well, with that, thank you guys so much for joining us. Carl talking about the weather jokesters. Yeah.
It's gonna scare
the
people.
Jokesters, I do like that. Yeah, we're not into scare. We're here to prepare and help you not panic. But listen, stay with the team. You have Bryce, Matthew, Mark, Jude, myself. We will keep you informed, and we will get you through this week. In the meantime, it's going to be 70 next couple days.
Yeah.
70. So hopefully you can get outside, find an excuse to get outside and enjoy some warmth, and then watch Thursday for the possibility of some strong to severe. We'll be updating that timeline throughout the evening hours. We're on right now. We're on at 6, and then we're back on at 10 and 11 o'clock. So keep an eye out for any sort of updates on the newscast. And again, even though the video ends, Bryce, people can still ask questions.
Sure.
It might be harder to get the answers. Like, we can't directly talk one-on-one, but we still like to have, your say. And again, appreciate you being in here on this Tuesday. From Bryce and I, we will see you